Hola and bienvenidos. This is my very first flip lesson. So, it is going to be over los verbos de cambio radical, aka stem changing verbs. They are also known as boot verbs. Boot. So, what are stem changing verbs? For these verbs, the stem or raíz changes when you conjugate them. There are 3 different types of stem changing verbs in the present tense. Today, we will only be talking about the stem changers that go from E to IE. For example, take the verb querer, which means to want. What is the stem or raíz? So remember, if you have an AR, ER, or IR verb, the stem is everything up to the ER. So the raíz would be ER. Okay? So what will the new stem or raíz be since there is, or querer is an E to IE stem changer? So if this is the raíz, and we know that the E changes, this is going to change to an IE. This then becomes QUIER. So this is your new stem change. So again, just to reiterate, the letter E in the stem changes to IE. Now, of course, there's an exception, like everything with Spanish, in all forms except the nosotros and vosotros forms. If you look at the shape of the shaded section below, this is why the stem changers are nicknamed boot verbs. So, if you don't already, grab a couple different colors of pens. I have 3. That's probably the best idea. So if you need a minute, pause, grab some different colored pens, and then come back. Okay, I'm sure you've all gotten your different colored pens, and I will be checking that you have different colored pens tomorrow. So, querer. We're going to change this, or we're going to translate this first to English. So, to want. Now, looking at this conjugation chart, I want everyone to draw this boot. You can make it even fancy if you choose. Okay, so what I then want you to do is underline the stem up to the ER. Okay, now we're going to write in the stem in all of these, but as we remember, for this section of the boot, it changes to QUIER. So don't write QUER, QUIER in all of these. Okay, so now the except part in the nosotros and vosotros forms, this E does not change. It stays the same. So you would have just the regular stem, QUER, and then QUER. Now what I would like you to do is grab your other color and fill in the endings. But again, remember, querer is an ER verb. So think about what your ER endings would be, and now we're going to fill them in. Quiero, quieres, quiere, and then quieren. Now getting your third color, go ahead and conjugate for the nosotros and vosotros form. So these, queremos y queréis. Okay? Good. So complete the sentence with the correct form of the verb querer, which means to want. So we're just going to work with only the verb querer for all of these 4 practice questions. Let's do the first one together. Omar y Catarina, so they're ustedes, unas camisas rojas. So they want some red shirts. So Omar y Catarina quieren. Okay? Take a minute, pause the video, do these next couple of ones. Okay, welcome back. So now let's fill these out together. So tú, up here, quieres. And then Ronald y yo. Ronald y yo is nosotros. So I hope that you looked up here and saw that it did not have a stem change. So you're going to say queremos. And Doris is ella no quiere. Okay, muy bien. Flipping over to the back side. So here's some directions on this first part. The verbs below are E to IE stem changers. These are all the ones that we need to know for this unit. So first, write the English definition for each verb. Second, underline the stem of each verb, everything before the AR, ER, and IR endings. Then circle the E that will stem change when you conjugate the verb. So in one color, I want you to underline the stem, or first write the English definition. So in one color, write the definition. So cerrar. Okay, and then in the second color, I have purple, underline the stem. Then in the third color, I want you to circle the E that is going to change. So take a minute and do all those. Okay, great. I hope that you took a minute to fill this all out, because now we can check it and do it all together. So, empezar, to begin. Entender, to understand. Perder, to lose. Pensar, to think. Preferir, to prefer. Querer, like we said before, to want. And comenzar, to begin. Comenzar y empezar literally both mean to begin, or to start. Okay, so now we're going to go through and underline all the stems. Muy bien. And then now we're going to circle the E's. So, aquí, aquí, aquí. Now, preferir has two different E's. So it is this E that is going to stem change. And then querer and comenzar. Okay? Muy bien. So now, we're going to do the same thing again for all of the verbs. So translate the verb to English. So we're going to start with pensar. Pensar, like we said up here, to think. Underline the stem of each verb. So using your different color. Underline the stem. Then circle the E that will stem change. Okay? Now, for this example, I want you to highlight the boot for each of these. Just so that you're remembering that these are the ones that have the change in the stem. Now we're going to write the stem in the boot. So remembering that this E changes, this is Okay. Now it says, think about if the verb is an AR, ER, or IR verb and write the correct endings in the boot. So this is an AR verb. So pienso, piensas, piensa, y piensan. Muy bien. Now it says conjugate the nosotros and vosotros forms outside of the boot. So here we have nosotros, which is pensamos, and pensáis for vosotros. Okay, now that you see how I'd like you to complete the rest of these, I want you to pause, take a few minutes, go through all this, really think about what you're doing and pay attention. And when you start back up, I'm going to change the sheet. We're going to have this all written down, okay? Then you can check yourself. Okay, welcome back. Here are all of the charts completed. And I want you to take a minute, and I'll scooch the paper up in just a second. But take a minute and maybe pause it or take a look and see how you did compared to mine. Now moving it up. Okay. I hope that you all enjoyed this little section of notes on stem changing verbs. Please make sure that you have corrected everything and that you come to class prepared with questions if you have any. If not, we're going to be hitting the ground running tomorrow, so we're going to have lots of practice with all of these stem changing verbs. Muy bien y adiós.